thank you to our presenter. We ask that you help us and show your support by keeping your mics on mute when not speaking. Please use the chat box to sign in with your name and region, as well as any questions you may have. We would like everyone to know that the session is being recorded. Please turn off your video if you do not want to be shown in the camera. And now I would like to introduce to you our speaker, Marisa Padilla, with the title of Close Up Washington, D.C. Migrant Programs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Michelle. Good morning, everybody. Buenos dias. It's a pleasure to meet you all and to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. As Michelle mentioned, my name is Marisa Padilla. I am the coordinator that works with groups in Oregon, and I'm going to be telling you about a resource or an opportunity for migrant students to participate in a civic education program that is actually in Washington, D.C. We do already currently work with quite a few regions in Oregon, which I'm very excited about. We have long, wonderful partnerships. I know that there is one person present. I can't see absolutely everybody, but thank you so much for being here. So to start off, I'm going to give you a little bit of background as to who Close Up is, what we are, what we do. So basically, we are a civic education nonprofit. We have been around for over 50 years now, and we bring students to Washington, D.C. for a civic education experience. So we work with groups from all over the country. We work with both schools, migrant programs, after school programs, other nonprofits, etc. The list goes on. And we even have some big partnerships with like Stanford, Johnson & Johnson, Bank of America. So, you know, we really love to work with students from all around the country, from all sorts of different backgrounds, and really impact them all. And our mission at Close Up is to inform, inspire, and empower students so that they become more active citizens. And really what we want students to take away from our programs is that they have a voice, and their voice should be heard, and their voice matters. So we are completely nonpartisan. We don't tell the students what to do. But we do want to give students the tools that they need in order to become more active in their communities, at their schools, in their state, and etc. And as I mentioned, we've been around for a very long time. We've had many student and teacher alums, and we're very happy that a lot of them have been from Oregon. So continuing on to our guiding principles, so you have a better idea of what our programs are really about. Our curriculum is really the most important part of our programs. We are not a tour company. You know, we don't just take the students to DC so they can take pictures and go off to the next site. That's not at all what Close Up is. So we have actual instructors that take the students around the city so that they can learn at each site. And basically, we use the city as a living classroom. So the way that Close Up works is very similar to a school setting. We have what we call the workshops, which would be like the classroom at a school. We have the instructor, which would be like the teacher. And then we have the program leader, which would be like the principal. And the only difference is that instead of sitting behind a desk at a school, the students are in DC at the monuments and the memorials, using that to learn. The next important topic is diversity. We really love to have diverse groups of students so that they can really learn from one another. And that's something that's really important for us. For our migrant program, you know, we do offer this program only to migrant students, and it's called the Program for New Americans, which I will get into more details in a bit. But even for our migrant program, it's not just offered to students who are, you know, in Oregon. It's offered to migrant students across the country. And the diversity is a very important role, plays a very important role in our programs, because we want students to really learn from one another. And, you know, it wouldn't be the same experience if all the students came from Oregon. You know, they might have somewhat of similar ideas, but when you start mixing students from Oregon and California and Texas and New York and all different states, they come from different backgrounds, they have different ideas, and that's really important to us. Nonpartisanship, as I mentioned, you know, we don't want to tell the students what to think. or how to think. We just want to give them the tools that they need in order for them to come up with their own decisions, in order for them to really be able to understand and analyze different policy issues, different structures and things like that, so that they can really come up with those ideas and decisions on their own. And lastly, ongoing learning. We really don't want the program to end when the students leave Washington, D.C. We really want them to continue learning and take everything that they've learned in DC and apply it to their everyday lives. And whether that's by coming back home and starting a nonprofit of their own, or coming back home and starting an initiative at school, or maybe coming back and looking into politics, whatever it is, we don't want the students to stop once they come back from DC. We want them to continue. And that's really what we aim to do with our programs. So now to get into the details of the program, we do offer a middle school PNA program, which PNA stands for Program for New Americans, and a middle school PNA program. So I'm going to be discussing the high school program first. So the high school program is 6 days and 5 nights. It runs from Sunday through Friday, and it's offered 4 times a year. I included the weeks there. So it's 1 week in March, 1 week in April, and 2 weeks in June. The rooming is 2 students per room for the program, for the PNA program, and it is open to any migrant student within the high school levels, which would be 9th through 12th. So here is the schedule of the program, which will give you a better idea of what the program is all about. So as we mentioned, it's 6 days, 5 nights. And as you can see, it's a pretty packed schedule. I know the font is a little small, so it's a little difficult to see, but I'm happy to send out a PDF version of this if anyone wants to really be able to analyze it a little bit deeper. But basically, as you can see from the schedule, the students are going to be visiting a lot of different sites and really learning a lot from these different sites and different opportunities. So for example, on Monday, the students are really going to be focusing on the founding documents so that they can really comprehend and understand the structure of the U.S. government. And that includes the 3 branches. That includes, learning about the founding documents, which are the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. And for them to really understand, why those are important, what role they played into our government, and what our government is like now as well. So they go to different sites. Again, there's a different topic that they're going to be discussing. But to give you a quick rundown of what a day at Close Up would look like, they wake up at the hotel, so they arrive on Sunday. Sunday is pretty much a half day. It's a travel day, so we don't want to overexhaust them. But then starting fresh on Monday, the students wake up at the hotel. They have breakfast at the hotel, which is buffet style. Then from there, they head off into their first site. We use charter buses for all the transportation in the city. So they go to all of these different amazing places, like the National Archives on Monday morning, where they'll be talking about those founding documents. And then after that, they go to have lunch. Lunch is always out in the city. They will either have cash or a voucher, which we will provide for them. And they will have several different options to choose from. And then from there, they continue on their day going to all these different sites. At night, we have what we call a room check, which basically we have our own close-up night monitors that go door to door. They ensure that all 2 students are in their rooms. And once they get the all clear that everyone is in, they actually stay at the end of each hallway to make sure that the students don't come out, to make sure that nobody comes in, and just to overall provide security 24 hours a day. So including the night as well. Now, I'm not going to go through every single event that they're going to be going to, because we would be here all day, but there are 2 that I really want to touch on, actually 3. So one is the mock Congress workshop. If you guys look on Tuesday night, it's a mock Congress workshop and simulation. And basically that program, students go through the entire process of how a bill becomes a law. And it's one thing to learn these things at school, to look at it and read about it in a book, but it's a different experience for them to actually act it out and play out the roles. So they actually pretend to be congressmen and congresswomen. They have to amend the bill, they have to vote on it, and then ultimately they have to decide whether the bill passes or not. So it's really amazing for them to truly understand how the process works, to really be able to, go through the entire process themselves. And then on Wednesday, which is the second event that I wanted to talk about, is Capitol Hill Day. So Capitol Hill Day, they actually go to the Capitol and meet with their representatives, which is such an amazing experience for the students. They get to have conversations with the people that are representing them, and they get to ask questions, which we would have already prepared them for throughout the week. Basically they're seeing in person, in real life, everything that they did the night before at mock Congress. They're going to meet the actual congressmen, the actual senators, the actual people who are making these laws. And so it's really such an amazing experience for students to be able to be in front of the people that are representing them and have these important conversations with them. And then the last one that I wanted to cover is the election workshop, because that is a really fun one and the students really love it. And that's really the goal at the end of the day. We want the students to enjoy themselves. We want them to have fun, but at the same time learn. And so the election workshop is really just what it sounds like. They go through an entire process of what an election is like. And at the end of the workshop, one person will become president of the entire group. And so it's really exciting because they get to nominate people, they get to lobby, they get to do everything, and see what it's really like to be a part of an election. And they have a lot of fun doing it. So as you can see, there are a lot of different activities. Again, there are several more, but time doesn't allow for me to go through each and every one of them. But the students really gain so much from the program. It's such a wonderful experience for them to not only visit DC, to not only be able to interact with students from other areas, but to really understand, that there's so much out there that they might not be aware of. And for them to be in front of the people that are in power, that are representing them, is really also such an amazing experience for the students. So now to cover the middle school program, it's 1 day shorter. It is 5 days and 4 nights, Sunday through Thursday. It is offered once a year, which is the week of June 19th. Still 2 students per room, and it is offered to any middle school student, which we would consider grades 6 through 8. The middle school schedule looks a little bit similar to the high school schedule. There are a few differences. Since middle school students are, younger and at a different maturity level, we have somewhat of a more structured lesson plans for the students, meaning that they have a little bit less of what we call free time, whereas the high school students, might have a little bit more exploration time, a little bit more independent time. But the middle school students don't really have as much flexibility. Other than that, the academic materials that they will be covering is different as well. And there are a couple of differences in the sites that they visit. So they still have a lot of fun activities. They still do the mock Congress workshop. However, they don't do the election workshop that the high school level would be doing. So there are a few differences in the program, but it's still such an amazing experience for middle school students to be able to participate, and especially at such a young and early age, to be able to be exposed to everything that they see on close up. So now for the supervision and security, this is something that is typically really important to the parents, but I know that it's something that would be of interest to you all. So we provide 100% security, basically from the moment that they arrive to DC to the moment that they leave. We are in charge of them. We pick them up from the airport, drop them off. We have monitors at nighttime that stay throughout the entire night. They're with the instructors and the program leaders during the day. So 24/7 security will be provided for them. Now, the program instructors that we work with are trained specifically to be working with middle and high school students. However, those who work for the PNA program get an additional 40 hours of training to be able to learn and have different techniques of working with ESOL students. They are also certified in CPR and first aid. They have several different background checks, and they really are instructors, people who are just really excited to be teaching, who are excited to be working with students, and who are excited about civics. Everyone will get a detailed schedule before the program so that, parents who are going to be far away from their children, sometimes for the first time, they will know exactly where they will be at all times. And students do also receive a close-up name tag, which will have a hotline number that they can call 24/7 while they are in DC. Of course, we ask that they don't call after they've left DC, but while they are in DC, if any emergency comes up or anything happens, they can call that hotline number and we'll be able to help them. And lastly, we do have a partnership with the Georgetown Medical Center, which in case of any emergency, hopefully we don't have any, that is where we would take them. So now I'm sure you guys are all wondering, what does the program cost? How can we get it started, etc. So the cost for the high school program would be $23.20 per student, and the program cost for the middle school program would be $20.77 per student. Now, I just realized there's a typo right there. It says Los Angeles. Definitely not leaving from Los Angeles. It would be from Portland. So the cost that I have given you includes the airfare from Portland. However, if you are closer to a different airport and you are interested in a different airport, we can definitely look into that. The cost may vary just slightly, maybe a little bit lower, a little bit higher, but the cost that I gave is from Portland, not LAX. My apologies. So included in the program is round trip airfare, all of the academic materials and instructions, hotel accommodations, which we use popular hotels like the Hilton, Hyatt, Holiday Inn, Sheraton, Marriott, etc. 3 meals a day, beginning with dinner on Sunday and ending with breakfast or lunch on the departure day. All of the in-town transportation, so that includes the charter buses, the Metro cards, all of the admission fees, 24-hour security, tips, gratuities. They even get a little souvenir, which includes a backpack, a water bottle, a group photo, and a certificate for their participation on program, and a limited accidental injury policy. As I mentioned, we do have that partnership with the Georgetown Medical Center in case any emergency were to happen. So I included some of the regions that have participated in the past or will be participating this year or next year in close-up, just in case you had any questions. Maybe they might have a little bit more information. If you wanted to hear from someone that wasn't from close-up, I'd recommend that you can reach out to them here. Definitely reach out to me. I'm more than happy to provide more information. And now, right before I get to the benefits of the program, I did want to just basically give you the step-by-step of how you can coordinate a program for your students. So essentially the way it works with migrant programs is that you would pick the program that you are most interested in. I would create an account for you, and then we would, depending on the budget that your department would have or your region would have, we would determine how many students would be sent. Now, something that I didn't include on here is that we do provide 1 adult for free for every 10 students. Excuse me. And it is prorated. So say, for example, if you were to take 10 students, 1 chaperone would go for free. If you were to take 15 students, the first chaperone would be free and the second would be 50% covered. Basically, I am the coordinator. I would work with you. I am actually here in Oregon this week. This is my 2nd time here in Oregon. I've absolutely fallen in love with the state. So I do fly back and forth. I'm actually based in California, but I do fly back and forth to Oregon to set up meetings, to meet with you all, to meet with the parents and provide them more information. I am bilingual, so I could do any presentation in English or Spanish or both. And yeah, basically I'm here to help with anything that you would need, any questions that you would have. I would be more than happy to cover it all. So now for the benefits of the program, the first one is networking. Again, students have the opportunity to not only meet other migrant students from different areas and from different states, but staff members from the Capitol, when they're meeting the representatives, that's such a great in to have. We've had so many students that meet their representatives, stay in touch with the staff member from the Capitol, and end up getting internships. So there are just so many different possibilities that can come from that. Better understanding of the structure of the US government, this is just a great opportunity for them to really understand what the structure is like. How does it work? How do the branches work? How does everything work? It's an open environment for them to ask all the questions that they want, an open environment for them to have, discussions on perhaps difficult topics, current issues that, maybe they don't feel comfortable talking about in other areas. We want them to be able to feel comfortable and ask those questions at close up. And then again, that goes on to the next point, building the confidence and skills for an active citizenship. And, citizenship can be defined in many different ways, but we really want students to be able to understand that they have a voice, that their voice should be heard. And no matter how they think, left or right, they should be able to make their voices heard, and they should be able to have the confidence in doing different activities. Like I said, we want them to be able to go back home and really take everything that they've learned and apply it to their everyday lives. Again, exposure to different opportunities. And it's a great way for middle school students to prepare for high school, or high school students to prepare for college. It looks great on resumes. Like I mentioned, we have been around for over 50 years now. So it's, Close Up is pretty well known in many different departments. And it's also a great thing, a great way to get in touch with people, maybe for internship opportunities, or, if you write this, if students include this on their resume, if they include their certification, for someone to see that they've had the exposure of going to DC, they've had the exposure of doing mock Congress workshops and meeting with the representatives, that really says a lot. And then we do also do pre and post program surveys, so that you yourself can see what the differences are. When the students come in, how do they feel? What do they know? And after the program, how do they feel? How do they know? So you can really see what they've gained from the program. And that's something that's really important to us. So now I wanted to obviously provide my information. Again, for those of you who maybe joined a little bit later, my name is Marisa Padilla. I am the coordinator that works with Close Up in all groups from Oregon. I included my cell phone number, which is 619-623-5115. And then my email address, which is mpadilla@closeup.org, which you can feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions at all, if you're interested, if you want to learn more. We do offer different programs that aren't just the migrant program, but given that this is a migrant conference, I thought I would, share the information about the migrant program. But we offer several different programs, free resources for students to use, which I'm always happy to share. So any questions at all, anything that you need, please always feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. And if I'm in town, I'd love to meet with as many of you as I can, in person or via Zoom. So now for the next and final slide. I don't know if anybody has any questions for me, but again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions for me.
There was a comment in the chat, and they were asking if you could please provide copies of these programs or those flyers, like where can they get that information?
Absolutely. So the easiest way for me to do this, if you can all write down my email address and then shoot me an email, because sometimes even when I send emails, they go to spam, or they sometimes get lost. So I'll go back to the page with my email address. If you can send me an email, just let me know that you're from the conference, you want the flyers. I will send you all of the links, all of the PDF versions, and anything else that you will need. We have an amazing video that really goes into detail about what the program is about, and I can definitely also send that as well.
Can you repeat the dates for the high school program, please?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll go ahead and take it back to that slide. So for the high school program, it's offered 4 times a year. So the first is the week of March 6th. The second program is the week of April 24th. The third program is the week of June 5th. And then the final program is the week of June 12th. Now, I will mention that after meeting with a lot of my migrant coordinators this week, we did come to the realization that if you have seniors, they may not be able to participate in that last week in June simply because they may no longer be eligible for the migrant program. So I did want to let you know, just in case you were going to target seniors, that is something to consider, perhaps doing one of the earlier weeks before they graduate so that they can still be eligible for you in the migrant program.
Thank you, Sandra. You have a question?
Hi. Yes, Marisa, I really appreciate your energy and passion for this work. I wanted to mention that first. And then I do have a question. Are you seeing how, well, I don't know if you covered this, but how many students would be allowed per state? And you said it was only migrant education eligible students. And also, how do you see families funding this, or are there scholarships available for the students? Can you talk a little bit about the funding part?
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. First of all, thank you for your comment. I am very passionate about the programs. I used to be an instructor. I used to work directly with the students. So I see what amazing work we do at Close Up. So that's part of the reason why I'm so passionate about it. Regarding the funding, definitely. So basically, for our regular core programs that we offer, which are not the migrant program, typically students pay for that out of pocket with a lot of fundraising, with grants that they look for, scholarships, and payment plans. That's usually how the core program is paid for. However, for the migrant program, typically it's covered from the migrant department. They allocate certain money to take a certain amount of students to Washington, D.C. And so they'll say, okay, we have, we're going to take 10 students this year. This is the money that we have allocated for the Close Up program. And that's pretty much how they do it. There's no minimum, there's no maximum with Close Up. It really just depends on the funding that there is available. We do everything we can as well to find some grants to see if that's something that, we can help offset the cost or maybe bring a couple extra students. We do have a specific grants coordinator that I work with. So again, if you're interested in that, please reach out to me. But yeah, typically it is funded directly from the migrant, directly from the region. So they are the ones that basically decide how many students get to go. And usually they don't offer it to obviously every single student because that's just not a possibility. However, a lot of them have applications. So the students have to do an essay and they have to apply in order to be considered for this opportunity since it is going to be funded. And then I'm not sure if there was another question that you asked that I maybe missed.
Now that if you can share this PowerPoint that we can make available later.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding.
Of course.
Okay, and Josue, you have your hand raised?
Yes, so it kind of goes along with what Sandra was asking. Is there a limited amount of space for each week? And do they fill up? And how are we made aware if a week is no longer available?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Since the program is only offered 4 times a year, we do have the occasional situation where they fill up. But usually what would happen is if we actually have too many students, we don't like to go over, I want to say like 150 or 200 students per hotel because we like to keep the groups intimate and a little bit smaller. We would essentially just start off a whole new program at a different hotel. I will say that the 2 more popular weeks due to spring break season, usually the March 6th and the April 24th, those weeks especially the week of April 24th, that one does tend to fill up. As of now, we still have plenty of space available. So everything is good for now. I guess if regarding your question, how would you know? You would just have to reach out to me, but I really, we do everything that we can to squeeze in as many students as we can. So, if you let me know, even with, as much time as in advance would be best so we can best prepare. But you can always let me know and I will definitely let you know if there's space or not. There is no minimum, there is no maximum. So you can take as little or as many students as we want. We actually have some migrant groups in Oregon who have sent 2 students. We actually had someone who sent 1 student. And then we have some who sent 30 to 40 students. So it's really up to just the funding that's available at your region, but we don't have a minimum or excuse me, or a maximum.
And you mentioned a bit of a application process for the students. Is that for all students or just for students that are looking to get some sort of scholarship?
So that's a great question. That's actually something that would be done at your region. So the way that most regions work. And again, if there's anyone on here that has a better answer for this, if you want to jump in, please feel free to do so. But from what I have seen and the coordinators that I have worked with, basically they allot a certain amount of money for, let's say we're taking 15 students. So whoever wants to participate, they have to apply in order to participate. And then once they're in the program, it would be funded for them. So to answer your question, it's just to participate. The students would have to fill out an application if they want to participate in the program. But again, that's something that is really up to every region. You don't have to do that process. If you have, the students that you want to take, you can definitely do that. This is just a way to filter it out. And because it is an amazing opportunity for them, they don't have to pay for it. Then regions tend to like to make an application process, so that they can be invested and really interested in the program.
Great. But so to clarify, the application process is up to the region. It's not something that's necessarily coordinated by Close-Up.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. Yes.
I have a question. So let's take, for example, is there a deadline by when all that they need to be in contact with you? So for example, the March 6th, is there a cutoff time where it's like, okay, we are submitting these many students want to go? By what, is there like a week or before week that there's a cutoff date? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. There is. So every specific week has its, let's say, cutoff day, sorry. So it just depends on the week that you're looking at. So I actually have the dates with me. Where are they? So I'm just trying to go based off of memory. It's usually about 4 to 5 months prior to the start date where we would need to know. And usually the way that the process would work is we would require a $500 deposit per student. And then everything else, the remaining balance, gets paid about 40 days before the program. So say if someone was interested in the March 6th program, I would definitely recommend that they reach out to me as soon as possible so that we can get everything going. Anyone, I would recommend that you reach out as soon as possible just to have more time, but there is a little bit more flexibility with the June weeks because it's further along and we have a little bit more time. We have been able to do a very quick turnaround this year, as opposed to past years. We really needed, very strict on the deadlines. This year, we're a little bit more flexible and we do have a much quicker turnaround. So if someone came to me in January and said, hey, we have funding to take 10 students on the March program, let's do it. We could make it happen, but I would recommend that you get in contact with me. The sooner, the better, so we have a little bit more time. And I will, Michelle, I will actually, whenever I send the PowerPoint, again, I will include the dates and the deadlines, if that makes it easier so that everybody knows, okay, these are the deadlines for the $500 deposit, which would essentially be the deadline to get registered.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Anyone else have more questions about this wonderful program?
I do, yes. Good morning, everybody. I've been in and out of the meeting for various reasons, but I wanted to ask, you said that you have the New Americans High School program that's for immigrant and migrant students. Can you elaborate on how it specifically serves the needs of migrant youth? Because not all our migrant ed students are recent immigrants. So if you could elaborate a little bit on what the setup is for that.
Yeah,
Please.
definitely. Of course. To start off, basically the students that are allowed to be on the program are really determined by you and the region. So as long as they are qualified and I guess an eligible migrant student or a part of the migrant program, then they can definitely participate in the program. They don't have to have been here only, say for the past 3 years. It's really up to your prerequisites, I guess, to see whether they're eligible to participate in the program or not. As far as what is served to them, I want to show the schedule just really quickly. We offer different programs that aren't for migrant students. We offer what we call the core program. It's open to any student who is within the grade levels. This one has been specifically created for migrant students for a couple of reasons. One, we understand that many, obviously not all, but many of the students that are participating in the program are ESOL students. So the way that the program is given is structured a little bit differently. We use a lot more visuals. We go into more details of the structure of the government so that the students can really understand, you know, what is the setup, how does it work, how did it start, etc. So we use a lot more visuals. Our instructors are trained they have extra training to work with ESOL students. And then just the different topics that they cover, like for example, covering the election workshop, where they get to really understand what the election process looks like, the mock Congress workshop, so they can see how a bill becomes a law and what that process even looks like. And then just every single workshop and topic and question has been set up from our curriculum team specifically for migrant students. So this isn't a program that is, the same as our regular program that we just offer to migrant students. Everything down to, the topics that are covered, the lesson plans, absolutely everything is tailored specifically for migrant students. But as far as who can participate, that would really be up to your region. As long as they're a migrant student that are eligible with your region, they are eligible to participate in close-up. I hope that answered your question, but if not, please let me know.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Are there any other questions?
I don't know if there's any more questions. If there is, feel free to just unmute yourself, use the chat box. You can also raise your hand, the virtual hand, and we can call on you. Until then, we want to say again, we want to be thankful and we're grateful for programs like Close Up, who inspire, encourage, and empower our students. So thank you, Marisa. I echo what Sandra said, that we really appreciate that drive that you guys have and that you guys inspire our students. It sounds like a very good program, and a lot of these students, it could be the way that inspires them. Maybe they're not thinking about it, and they might sign up because it could be like a fun experience, and they might turn out to be next in Congress. So
Yes.
this is very great. Again, if you guys have any more questions for Maria, please feel free to ask and to get more information on this program.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. And I put my contact information again up on the screen in case you come up with any questions later. Please write down my information. Please feel free to reach out. I will be sending the PowerPoint with the added deadlines so that you can have access to all of my to my contact information. But if you have any questions now, I'm still happy to answer any of them. Or if you would like to set up a meeting with me, just a phone meeting to get more information, please let me know. Again, you can give me a call. That is my personal cell phone number, so you can feel free to give me a call or text me or email me, whatever works best for you all.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Maritza, for the information. Close Up is a wonderful program. We had many migrant students attend in the past, and they come back with wonderful stories. So thank you for sharing. And hopefully you'll get lots of phone calls from Oregon, lining kids up for the coming dates.
Of course, absolutely. That's the hope. And thank you all so much. We're so happy and excited to have such a great partnership with Oregon. We love welcoming Oregon students to our programs in DC. So thank you so much. And I hope to hear from all of you, whether call or email. Please, I'm always happy to help and answer any questions that you have.
Okay. For those of you who have not signed your name in the chat, please do so now. We're gonna end and we're gonna have lunch, and then we'll be back at 12:30 for session number 3. So thank you all for participating in this session, and we'll see you at 12:30.
Thank you all so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes a todos.